Bleak, copper. I'll use this for the black. All right, so I'm very excited, but I'm also a little bit worried because I've been trying to figure out how to show you the inks, and the inks are much more problematic than the markers are, because there's more to them. There's a lot more that has to happen. Jars have to be open. They have to be at the right consistency. So I'm starting off with a brand whose inks you've seen before. You've seen me use one of them, and the inks are beautiful. They're not just beautiful to look at. They are exceptional to write with. They're really fine. The ones that have particles in it, like mica for gold, the silver, the copper, you don't need to keep shaking them. They stay in suspension. They are excellent. So a lot of you have seen me use the Sheen Machine ink, which is this ink. So this is the Sheen Machine 1. So I'll just do a little demo with that so that you see how that works, and it sort of reminds you of how magnificent this ink is. And then I'll move to the other inks. I just need to be a little bit conscious about the time. So this is what we have. This is what we're looking at today. So there's the Sheen Machine ink, and there are the KWZ inks: black, blue, white, silver, copper, and gold. So let's get started. All right, so let's start with the Sheen Machine ink, because you know that ink. I need a little bit of couching because I'm a little bit worried. I need a little bit of lift. So obviously I'm going to use the finest tools that I have available. So I've halved my lines, so they are 3 mil. So that's the Sheen Machine ink. I'm not going to zoom in anymore because I don't really want to have to keep looking up. So I'm going to use the 3 mil halving that I've done. So you see how fine this is. It's really, really super fine. It's so delicate and light. And you know, this, as I've said before, you know, the thing about being able to write this lightly is it is a combination. If the nib and the ink cannot do it, it's simply not going to happen. So when you're looking at this kind of thing, what you're looking for is you're looking to see if the ink is dropping. So I'm going to use the blue, which is a really beautiful blue. So for copperplate script, I sort of feel that this is a little bit on the thick side. So I'm going to add a little bit of water to the ink. get any excess off. That's much nicer. So you have really nice hairlines. The hairlines are really beautiful and thin and fine. I'm just wiping off the blue. I want to try the black. So the black's really lovely and dense. It's really solid. It has a really nice hairline. I want to try it with a finer nib. So this is a Gillot 303. And I think for writing at that size, which is, quite small, I would probably want to add a little bit of water to that. So I added the water in at the back. And that's holding really beautifully. So I'm kind of rushing through because I'm also really conscious of the fact that I want to get on to the colors, well, to the metal, to the white and the metals on the gray and the black pad. Okay, so that's done. Let's put this back here. Right, let's close these. Close the black. And now, as it's sort of color we're working with, let's work with the white. Now, I have tried this before, so I'm not sort of so I'm dipping straight from the jar. Maybe I'll clean this nib a little bit more. There is too much gunk on this nib. I used that nib for some gouache earlier on. This should work better. So this is a Hunt 22B nib. Now, the particles are suspended really finely in this. And what I did the first time around was I stirred it. And I didn't need to stir it again when I was writing, because it just stayed in suspension. There we go. This is very unlike a lot of white inks where you have to mix water to it and you have to keep adding and topping up the water. Here I've just stirred. I'll show you how I do that. So I've put the lid on. Now remember I told you before, don't shake inks vigorously. So I'm holding the top of the lid and I'm just rolling it. Tap the top to get any ink off the top and sort of put it back down, and you see how much denser that is now. Now, I want to show you, where is it? So that's, yeah, don't think I did a white one, you know. I know you don't know what I'm talking about just yet, but let's look at some broad edge work. So too much ink on there. So you really see how fine this can work. I mean, I haven't looked at it with a larger nib. So this is a Speedball C2 nib. And I sort of feel that to use it larger, you really do need, you might need a little bit of extra water in. Actually, no, not at all. This ink keeps surprising me. Every time I work with it, there's more and more that I'm discovering. So I'm being a little bit careful because I sort of want to get past this really quickly, because I want to show you something that I have been working on. So this is one of those, I might have to zoom in because you're never going to see what I'm going to show you. So I've drawn some 1 and 2 millimeter lines on the pads, and obviously I've put some 55-degree lines in. So I'm going to take the copper, because the copper is absolutely delicious. So I'm just leaning it and I'm pressing the nib on the surface tension to pick up some ink. I'm going to test a little bit to see how the ink is flowing. And I know from what I've done before that I will need just a little drop of water. Now I'm using a syringe with a hypodermic needle in it, so I don't really want to put this onto the camera because you know, I can't really share something like that on YouTube. So because I'm working that small, I'm going to add a little bit of water to increase the flow. So where are we at? So we're here. Okay, so that is at 1 millimeter. I mean, the hairlines are so fine. Now, I can see all the lines on there. And I know that's quite difficult for you to see. So let's go up. And so we're going to go to 2 millimeters. So that's the ink. That's the copper. You know what? I'm really sorry that this is not showing up. I have no idea how to make you see this. Oh, there it is. Oh yeah, there it is. Oh, absolutely minuscule. So you could really see the 1 mil, and that's the 2 mil there. Now, the thing about this kind of writing is, if the ink isn't ground finely enough, there is no way it will flow through, especially if it's a mica-based ink. There is no way it will flow through the nib to allow you to do this writing. So let's look at it in a straight holder. So I'm going to let's use the silver. Now there's a little bit of copper on here because I've been using this nib for some copper writing, so you might get a little bit of bleed. So there's the silver, which is it's so silver, it's so liquid. It really is quite beautiful. We'll look at the silver on the black paper in a second. Really sort of keen. I haven't used the silver and I haven't used the gold as yet. So I'm really excited to see. So that's the gold. It's a really bright gold. And just from touching that, I can feel that I need a little bit of water in there. Now, you wouldn't normally need water, but I am working at 2 millimeters. So you might need just a little extra carrier in there. So you can see that that's a lot clearer than the copper is on the gray. You know, I think it's actually even thinner than spider's silk. Wow. Let's see if we can get that. Where is that? That's the gold there. So I'm trying to get you to see that. There it is. Oh, it's gone. There it is. Lovely. Right, so let's swap from the grey paper to the black paper. And as we already have the gold on the sheet, let's I'm not going to go through all these steps. I'm just going to use the tool at its finest. So I'm just adding just a little bit of water. When I say a little bit of water, I mean it's so little. I mean, it's a shame I can't show this on the screen, but it's such a minuscule droplet because the droppers that I had were not working. So I actually had to get really fine needles to sort of control the amount of water that was coming out onto the... So that's the... this is the half here. So this is the 3 mil. And so this is the a little bit. This is just a little under 2. Okay, so I'm going to wipe this off from the gold. I mean, the gold is unreal. So these are made by KWZ. Really quite amazing. I'm just going to test the silver on it. So remember, lean what liquid, use the tension on the surface. Add a little bit of water to it. So the silver is more sort of a pewtery silver rather than a bright silver. But as you can see, it still shows up quite nicely on the black pad, which is... I'm trying to contain my excitement and not start screaming because it's so good. Let's add the copper in and then we'll look at the white again. So again, I'm just leaning that, just touching the tip, adding a little drop of water just to activate the sort of the flow. Oh, careful not to leave these jars open. I mean, I'm I am so stunned at what is possible with this ink. And the great thing is you don't have to keep shaking it. Once you've sort of stirred it to begin with, it activates it and it stays in suspension. It's so fine. So I chose not to press at all there, so that it's just the hairline that I'm writing with. And you know, I am lucky that I have access to not just the ink, but equally important is the nib to be able to do this kind of delicate writing. So I'm going to clean this nib as well as I can, because I did this a couple of days ago and I was so amazed at what I was seeing. So this is the white. So again, we're going down to We're going down to 2 mil. A little bit of water. Now, I probably need to stir this a little bit better, because when I tried this to start with, the white was even finer. The white was as fine as the gold and the silver. There you go. Just a little bit denser, a little bit thicker than the metals are. But see the white on the black paper with a see if it'll work in here. Add a little bit of water. So that's working at 6 mil. Oh, wow. Okay, let's put everything away. Okay, so let's show you this from this angle. So that's what you would see. Let's zoom in so that you can see it in more detail. So remember, this is at 2 millimeters. Absolutely tiny. I'm going to get the gray out. So there's the gray. So you can see that is dry. And now that it's dry, it's you still can't see it properly. How funny. So the gold shows up a lot more. It's fun, you know. Okay, so let's zoom out so you can see what that's what I'm seeing. So I'm going to tilt the camera tilt the page to try and get some light to rake across the. Let's zoom in so you could see that a little better. The camera's struggling, how funny. All right, so really quite amazing, these KWZ inks. They're so super fine, especially the metals. The metals are really quite astonishing. And that silver really has come up nicely. So there's the silver. Okay, let me just look through the comments. Adding water to the smaller X height does help because it increases the flow. But you do have to be really careful that you're not adding too much water, because it's not just about the flow, it's also about the ratio of pigment or mica, which is the shiny bits, to binder. So if you add too much water, you can destabilize the binder and then the particles don't adhere to the surface properly. Yeah, but if you're writing smaller, you're not really going to have thick shades. These are not iron gall inks. I wonder if the KWZ guys are on. They should be here, you know. So where are we at? Invisible ink. Yep, these are definitely KWZ inks. The silver is really beautiful. It's come up really nicely. And you know, the amazing thing about the silver is this, right? Look at that. Now, I know that's quite far in, but look at the thickness of the printed line and look at the thickness of the written line. So from what I'm seeing, because it looks a little bit wider on the screen, the written line is actually smaller than the printed line. So Jay, it's not a red ink, it's a copper ink. What do you mean? Why do they not need mixing? Do you mean constantly? I think it's to do with the way in which KWZ have made them. They're so fine. You can always message them, Jay, if you're looking for the inks. They're KWZ inks. When I post this, I'll also tag them in. So those are the bottles. They're great. Fantastic. All right, so I hope that's that sort of inspired you to. I mean, it's so delicate, really, and as it dries, it's sort of becoming a little bit more solid. I mean, look at that. That is. Look at the copper. That is definitely, the hairline writing is definitely thinner than the printed lines. And so the post that I did earlier on today was with, this is one of my first Pentel 0.3 millimeter nibs, leads. So the lead is absolutely minuscule, right? And that's what I use to rule up these 2 millimeter lines. So, so Calligrapher are on. So they have the inks, and they're more than happy to send them out to you. Look at that. Absolutely wonderful. So exciting. All right. So thank you very much for your time. I'm having to be a little bit brutal with my posts because normally I post them in the suppliers folder, and then I post them onto Facebook, and Facebook, they've changed their algorithm and they're not allowing us to post longer videos. So I'm having to post them via my personal page, which I don't really like to do. So thanks very much, and I will do some more posts later on. Have a great Thursday. If you're finishing up your day, then have a great evening. If you're starting your day, then have a great day ahead. And have a super Friday and a wonderful weekend. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.